Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another video. So recently Delta Force shared over on Twitter that there was some, quote, big news on the way soon. And I think a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that this surely had to be the release of the console version of the game, or at least some news on when it's going to be coming, because I know a lot of you guys who play on console have been waiting for a long time for that. The game released on, I think it was the 5th of December, what is it now, the 14th of March as of the recording of this video, and it really feels like Delta Force is losing some or most of the win from its sales. However, they have just made an announcement, and it's probably not the one you were expecting. We're going to get into everything here in a second, guys, but as always, if you want to keep up to date with Delta Force, make sure you are subscribed. Going to be plenty to come on the new Battlefield game as well. I'm really going to be covering absolutely everything for that game. As always, thank you guys so much for supporting me here. So this is the tweet they just put out. It says, Delta Force Mobile launches globally on April the 21st after trials of fire and steel and your incredible support. The wait is over. Get ready to experience tactical warfare on the go, available at launch on the App Store, Google Play, and, interestingly enough, Google Play games on PC, all launching simultaneously. Now, they've added a little bit to that as well on their official website announcement, and it says, Your voice, our mission. The console version of Delta Force is in full development. Right now, we are fine-tuning performance with exciting details coming your way soon. So, how soon is soon? I couldn't tell you, but they are trying to sort of keep the expectations, I guess, at bay a little bit for the console release of the game. Now, the reaction to this has mostly been like, are you kidding me? Is this the, quote, big news that you had for us all? Or is it simply a coincidence that you've announced this after saying you were going to bring some big news? But actually, I think for people who are waiting for the console version, whilst you are waiting, this may not be the worst thing in the world. Now, hear me out for a second, guys. Don't pick up your pitchforks just yet. I know most of you watching my channel are not mobile gamers. You are playing on PC or you're playing on console, and I am much the same. These sorts of games, like FPS games such as Delta Force, I don't want to play them on a phone, on a tiny screen. I want to sit down at home, play them with a controller, play them with a mouse and keyboard. However, I do think that phone games in general seem to be changing. I think what most of us imagine when we think of mobile games is a lot of these gacha mechanics where, you know, you play the game for a while and they give you lots of resources, and then all of a sudden they just hit you with a massive wall, and now you have to start paying to progress in the game. A lot of FOMO events where you have to log in every day in order to earn the resources, otherwise, again, you have to buy them. However, with this game, as far as I understand it, this is not like a different mobile version of Delta Force in the way you would imagine it as it has been in the past, where all of the maps are different, all of the weapons are different, and it's essentially a completely different game based in the Delta Force universe. On the contrary, due to the increase in the computational power that smartphones have these days, they're kind of more similar to maybe a Steam Deck or a Switch or something like that. Don't quote me on this because I haven't actually tried the mobile version for myself, but from how I understand it, they're basically making the exact same game that we have on PC, but they're putting it out there for mobile, so you can expect all of the same maps, all of the same weapons, and I think therefore the monetization model is going to be the same as well. It's just going to be battle passes, there's going to be an in-game store, so a lot of that gacha stuff that you associate with mobile games is probably not going to be there. So not only is this a good thing for people who don't own a console or a PC and want to get in and play some Delta Force, but maybe for those people who do only play on console and they're waiting in the wings for the console release, if you wanted to, you can now play the game on mobile from April the 21st instead. Now, they also mentioned here that they're going to release it on like the Google Play Store on PC. I'm not really familiar with that, I've never used it before, but I'm assuming for inputs there, you're going to be using a mouse and keyboard. So assuming you're going to be matchmaking with the same people who are just using their literal phone screen to play the game, that sounds kind of uneven to me. Call me crazy, but that's my take on it. Also, you know, are we going to be able to use controllers? These days, I know a lot of folks are connecting like your DualSense controller or your Xbox controller via Bluetooth directly to your mobile device, and you can just use that then for gaming. Is Delta Force going to support that, or is that something that's just out of the realm of possibility, given the fact they haven't actually released like the console version of the game yet? Because again, that might be something that does attract console players. So this isn't like bad news per se. I don't think the fact they're giving out a mobile version of the game is going to make the other versions of the game any worse, But I can understand how it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for console players who've been waiting for months to see the mobile client of the game released before the console one does. I mean, that's always been known that that is the way it's going to work out and that's what's going to happen, but still, it doesn't feel great. To me, it really feels like Delta Force has been losing a lot of its traction over the past couple of months. The content has been really scarce. They came in, started really strong, saying they were going to be giving big updates every month or so, with new content such as maps and weapons every couple of months. So far, we've only had 2 maps for the warfare mode. Yes, there's been a couple for operations as well, but most people are only going to play either operations or the Havoc warfare mode, so you're only going to experience one or the other, and it really feels like their window is closing. Battlefield coming in and then sort of, you know, inadvertently announcing Battlefield 6 really by having these leaks go out, whether they meant for them to do that or not, is also putting a lot of pressure on Delta Force to boot. And then on top of all of those things, they're making a lot of weird, questionable balance updates. So in the latest one here, they've actually buffed Luna's detection arrow. So that is the recon chick who fires the OP arrow over the entire battlefield and spots everyone, not just for her, but her entire team. And it says here they've increased the recon arrow's scan frequency, reducing the probability of enemy detection failure in complex map environments. So not like the biggest buff in the world or anything, but I think at this point we'd all have hoped to have seen some nerfs to her. I mean, I have universally seen people cry out for nerfs for this specific operator. In fact, I think out of all the operators, this one deserves a nerf the most. I have not seen a single person with an argument to the contrary. So the fact they haven't really listened to the community yet and done any of that is a little bit worrisome to me. I know it sounds in this video like I'm railing on Delta Force super hard here, and a lot of you people will think, oh Ghost, you said it was like a good game and stuff, and now you're complaining about it. I do think it's a good game, and for what it's worth, I enjoy it when I play it. Don't get me wrong though, it's not going to surpass the next Battlefield game, at least from what we've seen so far, but I just think the way that they're handling it isn't really optimal. The cadence of release of the content, the lack of transparency, the lack of willingness to really change any of the operator abilities that the community are universally calling out for, just kind of tells me that they're somewhat out of touch. Or maybe they're simply unable to do any of that stuff because Tencent are perhaps holding them back. Nevertheless here, these Steam numbers look incredibly solid. I can't really prove any of this, but I would say they look so solid since the release, and if you average out this line here all the way from December when the game released up until now, you'll see that they've had a pretty strong, on average, around 100,000 players, never really ever dipping down at all, and I for one find that extremely suspect, because anybody who looks at Steam player numbers knows that when a game comes out, it's going to hit its peak, and it's pretty much going to slowly start to dwindle and fall off from there. But Delta Force hasn't had that happen, despite the fact that they haven't released any content for a long time, and despite the fact that from what I've seen of people talking about the game online vocally, they seem to be uninstalling the game, stopping playing. I've definitely stopped playing a lot as well, because there just isn't really anything to talk about or make content on or experience in the game that's new. But then I go and look at the Steam numbers, and that doesn't really paint the same picture to me. Those two metrics, if you will, do not really add up. Again, I can't judge this purely based on what I've heard, but to me this just kind of stinks of the possibility that they may be spoofing the player numbers. I've suspected this for some time, and I've kept an eye on them, and you know, every time I go and check here without failure, they're always at around 95,000 players or so, never ever going down. Anywho, let me know what you think down below, guys. Are you one of those console players waiting in the wings for the game to release? Are you going to check out the mobile client? I think I'm definitely going to check it out here on the channel. I'll probably download the PC one just to get a look at it and see if it's any different monetization wise from the way that the regular PC client works, because obviously if they do have a bunch of like way more overpriced stuff in the store, or you know, they've got a lot of gacha mechanics in there, more than they already have in the game, then clearly that's going to be a bit of a turn off for most players. So I will keep you updated on that. As always, thank you guys for watching the video, have a good one, and I'll see you all next time.